Yes, we are live. Okay. By the way, this is my first time live doing this thing, and YouTube Studio. I just saw this live option. I didn't know it was enabled or something like that. But yes, we are doing it, and I just wanted to experience how do you do that, and there are some reasons for doing that. I will explain everything, and let me just share this link to the LinkedIn and some. How do you do that? Okay, share link. Yes, I want to share this link. Welcome everyone. I am live on YouTube. I'm writing this comment. You can come and say hi over there. You can come and say hi over there if you want. I am going to be talking about AI. You know what? Let me just copy that title of this. Okay, so I can mute here. Okay. Powerful dashboard. AI Gen, especially Gen AI Rag embeddings, vector and all. Vectors. And let's do it. Okay, let's do this. So I'm going to be starting very soon, and you can post your questions if you have some. But I hope this video goes live, and I hope this is how it works. By the way, and let me explain you why I'm doing this live and all. I've just put this live link on the LinkedIn also. Just recently did that so that anyone can join it at least. But the main goal is, I hate recording videos and then editing them and then putting them on YouTube. Uh, I don't want to do that. But I think this live, I think, is recorded by as a YouTube video, and after this live session ends, it will be posted on YouTube. I think that's a very good win for me, where I can talk about it. I can explain if I want something to explain, and I don't have to record, edit, and all of these things. So that's the first thing. And I don't know, for some reason I thought I wasn't able to do the live, but now I just saw this live button. I was like, let's try it. If it, I don't know. I didn't know I was enabled to do that. I just posted about it on LinkedIn, so I'm sure maybe one two people might join. But yeah, shortly we will start, and like think just as soon as I finish this, we will talk about artificial intelligence or GNAI and Rag and Vector. Although I have just recently published a video on the YouTube channel, and but I wanted to experiment with this. Okay, here we can talk about Gen only. With if you have some questions, you can ask me. But it's mostly would be going to it. I'm going to teach here, basically what I know and everything about that. And I think if it works, and if I don't know how this live thing works, but if it is like genuinely like I can do as many live as I want, then I will do that. And every weekend I will pick up one topic and we will talk about that. We will learn some together or something like that, so that it uh, I will also have this motivation to work harder, so that over the week I can just learn about it, and on the weekend we will have this live session where I can share with you that what I learned over this week. And then you can ask me questions, maybe interactive learning type. As I already said, I hate video editing and just doing these things because I'm busy in other things, so it takes a little bit more time to do that. But this way, it's just simple. I can just have my tea and I can just talk about it. And so instead of just wasting time, okay. So let me just open this uh, website where I can. I think it's exclude xclouddraw.com, where we can I'm just writing the plan of what we are going to be uh, learning today or whatever. So let me just make it to the night mode so that it doesn't hurt your eyes. Week. What do I name this thing? I should have thought about it earlier. But anyway, what do I even name this live thing? Like, what should I say? Ki generative AI talk or what? Okay, so the idea is ki let's just suppose ki you want to build an application for your internal organization. By the way, I think one person joined. So, welcome back. Oh, sorry, not welcome back. Welcome to the live session. And anyway, so I was saying, ki, let's just suppose ki you want to build an application for your internal organization, but you want to utilize this LLMs capabilities. As we all know, ki LLMs are very good in this text-based or generative things, like for example, text-based things or image generation, video generation. They are really good at it, and they proved it. So if we give them some context, they can give us answer in a very like human readable format. So that's I think good thing about LLM. Now you want to utilize them in internally our organization. So it could be like chatbot support, like kind of application where you have some what do you call that? Uh, some documents internally, and now you want to utilize those documents, but you don't want to give these documents to the chat gpt, of course not, right? Because then you don't want to do that, like internal document, but you want to build a chat application using these LLMs, so that you can ask questions about it. You could, like for example, I think mostly the uh, these days the support related or query related applications are very booming. I think this is where people, we had already had these chatbots that were doing a job, but they were like static. Like you used to store these questions in the database, and then predefined queues basically. So from them you basic npl nlp related task, doing that and then finding the answer. So they were not quite good. They were more probably, if I ask you a question something like hey, I want to change the password of this thing, how do I do that? So if the keyword matches to the database, then only you are going to be able to find the answer. Otherwise, if I just say randomly, ki, hey, I want to change my credentials, how do I do that? For this query, this particular application, or before that, before this LLMs, they would generally fail because they don't know. They were doing the keyword matching, like exact keyword matching. They were not really good at it. But now that we have LLMs, the things have changed. So we can definitely build it. So you can just, I am sure you must have done that in the ChatGPT also. Okay, once you put this, let's just say, I think you should try it. And what you can do is you should go to the chat GPT and you can just put the resume, and then you can ask the questions related to that. particular PDF or that document that you have said ki, is it good or what about this and what about that. And the ChatGPT is very smart enough to or this LLMs are smart enough to give you the answer from that document. So and that's a very like very big thing. Now you want to utilize this functionality, and for that, doing that thing, and this is where this generative AI, rag, vector embeddings, all of these things comes into the picture. Okay, how do we use them to build these applications where we don't want to give the data to the third party like LLMs, but still we want to utilize their uh, capabilities. And designing this architecture, designing this system or application is the people's job nowadays. And so that is what we are going to learn now. I hope that you are clear ki, okay, what are we even trying to build and how do we do that. So now the problem is clear. So what we can do next is start from the basics, from the software engineering point of view. Okay, let's just say you are software engineering in your team and you are given this task कि अजय कि you have this documents. Let's just say कि, I don't know, like some document, I don't know, 3 4 5 10 PDFs of internal documents, and you are given this task कि अजय build a website chat application where I will upload these documents and then I will ask questions about this document. So it could be internal support thing. You have this, bunch of products gets too big. There are literally so many support thing related tasks. People usually ask to senior, कि, hey, this is the thing that I'm trying to do. How do I do that? By the way, I hope you guys can hear me clearly, right? I don't want to just keep repeating myself and without you guys knowing it. So if anyone is joining, can you please repeat? Can you please tell me in the comment that okay, you can hear me clearly? That would be best. And yeah, so that I was saying ki, you are given this task. So what you can do, you should start is, okay, you need first thing, you what you need is you need to understand the concept. See, most of the thing that we are going to be talking about in this video, you're not going to do new inventions. So for example, there are already predefined things that happen, and they are the ones that we are going to use them. So it's like, how do I share this thing? Let, for example, this LLM things, right? So what you're going to do mostly is in LLMs, you're going to get this API from this LLMs, and that's it. You're just passing the data to them, and they are giving you the answer. So you're not actually designing anything LLM related. Same thing with this. So in this, using this Rag, generative AI, and vector embedding, whatever that you like to call it, basically in the idea, your job is not to build new things. Your job is to utilizing these already built tools in a nice way where we will talk about it, like what do you mean by nice way, how do I do that. And from that point of view, you need to design these things. So first, let's try to understand what is exactly rag is. Well, rag, I think the full form of rag is retrieval augmentation generative, I guess. That's the full form of the rag. But basically idea is this key: we have text. How do we store them? How do we pass the relevant information to the these LLM? See, remember I told you ki we don't want to give the information, all the information to the LLMs for the security purpose and also for the token utilization point of view also. See, whenever you go to the chat GPT and you type something, it could be basic thing here, what is the name of Prime Minister of India, or it could be anything. Just when you say hi, it's not just simple query. If you have little bit experience of how does these big LLMs works, you would know that behind the scene they will convert this into something called these numbers, and then they will do the search, and whole lot of things happen. And they utilize the tokens. The tokens is basically, uh, you can say, currency in the AI field that gets utilized by this each query. So whenever we ask something, there are certain some like tokens or utilization happen on their server. So we want to reduce those token utilization, and that's our main goal in designing this product. Whenever we talk about generative AI related product, this is literally the number one goal. So how do we do that? That should be your main concern. How can we reduce it? So the first thing that you can do is, uh, what you can first okay, sorry. So the first thing that you can do is, basically obviously relying on this idea key, okay, what are the problems that we are trying to solve, what kind of documents we have. So design, so when we send the data, so we don't want to send, so for example, let's just say you give three PDFs to the chat GPT and you write simple question. So chat GPT has to do lots of work on that, right? So we want to reduce that. So instead of just giving the three PDF, what if you give the only one paragraph and then ask the question key, okay, I know, give me the answer from this one paragraph, and that is much more helpful, and it will utilize the less tokens. So that is exactly what we are doing in our application. Instead of we are going to the chat GPT, we are utilizing their their API. From there, we will send the data. We will do the same thing, but in a code. So let's come down to the basics of it. How do we start it? So there are things, and which is to, we have interface. Let's just say if you make a web interface, our user types something. Now it will, this request will come to the our database, not sorry database, our server, and there we will extract that request, or the data from that request. Like for example, whatever the query that user had, we will extract that, and then we will search uh, this query into our database. Why do we do that? Well, as I said, we need to provide the context to this API, right? So how do we find the context? Well, we must have stored those documents that we are talking about into our database, right? So what we do is, we take the query from this user, we run a search into the our database, we find the relevant information from the all those documents. The document size could be very big, like I don't know, 100 documents, 200 documents, or whatever that is. Basically what we do is, we get uh, the relevant information. We have the query, we got the relevant information, meaning let's just say key user type, I want to change my password, and then there were this five relevant paragraphs where this query matched. Okay, so we pick those five paragraphs from the entire database, or from the entire document. We generate we generate a new prompt, basically saying, okay, hey GPT, only give the answers from this provided context. In the context, we will provide those 5 to 10 paragraphs. Then in the bottom, we say, okay, this is the query that you should answer from this provided context. And then we will say, if you don't found anything, don't just return nothing. You don't have to do anything, and don't search globally just from this document. We will format the prompt, and then we will send it to the uh, our API that we are using of any LLMs. It could be ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever that we are using. We will pass that information to that, and it's their job. Now, as we all know, ChatGPT and all of these things are very trustworthy when it comes to things like that, doing things like that, where giving the answers of these kind of questions. So they will definitely give the answers to us if they found anything in this document, in this not document, in this 5 to 10 paragraph that we attached to that uh, prompt. All right. Now our job is to send this, the whatever the response that ChatGPT gave us, we will return it to the user. Now, what is our job? It's like, Ajay, but where does this our job comes in? It's like literally we just get the query, search it there, and then we pass it. Now, how do we even search in our database? That's the main part. See, it's, you got the query, simple part. You use the API of LLMs, you pass it that data, yeah, by nicely formatting. We pass it. That's nothing. We can't. We don't do any engineering yet. We're like, yeah. So what's it? And we are storing the data into our database. So the data that we are our documents, it's not on the uh, ChatGPT server or anything like that. It's in our database. So it's in our control. Basically, we are just only passing the relevant paragraph instead of all the paragraph, right? So that the API utilize less tokens. That's the reason. Okay. Now that is part. Now where is the engineering part? You might ask, "Yeah, Vijay, but where is the engineering part?" Just give me a minute, okay? And let me just mute it. Okay, sorry about that. Actually, I was just checking with my friends. Key, can you hear me? All right, right, right. Let me just write some comments. What should I write? We just talked about how does this Gen AI Rag help to build. Why do we do that? Why? No, no, no. We just talked about that. Why do we want to utilize? This is fun actually. I'm loving it. Say, utilize this. We just talked about that. Why do we utilize? We just talked about that. Why do we want to utilize the LLMs? We just talked about why do we want to utilize the LLM. Actually, you know what? What I should have done is that when I joined this live, I should have said hi or something like that. I'm beginner, guys. I'm learning. Okay. So where was I? I was telling about, yeah, where is the engineering part? It just we are getting the data from the front end, and then we are passing it. We are like querying into our database, and then we are passing that information to the ChatGPT or LLM. So where's the engineering part? The engineering part is here, my friend, and this is very interesting. Is that how do you even search into the database? Like for example, you get this query, "Hey, I want to change my password." Now, what do you do? What do you do in your database so that you find the relevant information? Well, if your thing is ki you will just do this text based searching, meaning you will go to the database, you will search, oh, if this text contain into this document, find this, keep it. Then this is going to be very bad system design, because first of all, uh, it's not like very useful in this term. Now, why is it not useful? Well, let's just say right now your user is typing, I want to change my password, something like password is the keyword. But instead of that, let's just say they said key, I want to change my credentials. In this case, there will be no match for the password, and they will think, you know what, we didn't find anything. Your text based query, basically, if condition, okay, if this query, if this query in this paragraph, if you do that thing, then it will not found any password, sorry, not credentials related information. There will be like in the documents could be in any writing format, right? There could be like, explicitly saying that, okay, this is how you change your password, or they might be saying this is how you change the credential. But we can't expect ki what the user will type. We need to understand the context. This is why we need to use the LLM for context. This is the keyword. When we talk about generative AI or AI in general, and the application, what we talk about, and a system should be able to understand the context instead of the exact meaning. And you know it, I know it, that when user says, "Okay, I want to change my password," or when they say, "I want to change my credentials," what they are asking. So for example, as a user, let's just say you are offline setting, and somebody comes to you and say, "Hey, I want to change my credentials, how do I do that?" Or let's just say in a support call, this is how it used to happen, right? And they will call you and they will say, "Hey, okay, I want to change my credentials, how do I do that?" But they might say, "Hey, I want to change my password, how do I do that?" So you as a person understand the context, that what they are asking. So you will be able to help them. Okay sir, right? Okay sir, just hold a minute, these are the steps that you need to do. What you are doing, you are going to the documents, or if you are have some experience in working with that particular company, then you might already know it. But the point is, you understood the question's intent instead of now. This is why we need LLMs. So how do we do? This is where the real engineering is. And to be honest, we are not going to be doing any engineering here also. But the concept, I think you should understand. So this is where there's something called embeddings that comes. What is embeddings? Well, embeddings are a process, you can say. Basically, instead of storing the exact like a text, we store their mathematical representations of. Wow. Sorry. I know it's going to be very hard to grasp this concept, because to be honest, I still get a little confused. What? How do we even do that? Like, like from the human point of view, you're like, there's no relation between that. So basically, what in embedding, what happens is that in this process, and we utilize these artificial models, sorry, AI models and ML. There is so much engineering goes into that, but the idea is कि instead of just storing the exact text, what we do is we store the uh, number representations of that, and what this numbers represent, and this numbers is like a vectors, basically array of multi dimensions, where each layer represents something, and this is what we store into a database. So it might something look like, what, there's this not two dimension, many dimensions of array which only has number. So for example, let's just say the phrase could be I love dogs, I love cats. So I love dogs, it would be something like 11.5976 or something like that, into this like vast or very big dimensions of vector, which is uh, vector, this is what we call. So that is what we store into database. And why do we do that? That's the question. Well, the problem is, into this number was not randomly generated from the models that we use to, or the technique that we use to generate these numbers. They kind of represent the context or similarity. So, as you might already know, this thing, if you are a little bit familiar of artificial intelligence or this generative AI related things, is that they are very good at probabilistic nature. So for example, when I say ki, I love dog, or I love cat, so next probe, and then I say this I love, and then there's a uh, like, let's just suppose ki underscore, like fill in the blank type thing. So they're really good at guessing this number in probabilistic, in the mathematic terms, probabilistic nature. So basically they are really good at it. uh, so the thing that we use there behind these things is neural network, not networking, neural network or something like that, gradient descendant, or there are so many buzzwords, by the way, and there's so many big words. But the overall idea of these things is these models are trained on billions of data of these sentences, something like that, not exact sentences, but on these grammar rules, on these rules. So we can be very pretty sure ki once they generate this numbers of this dimensions array of each sentence or words, whatever that we say. So comparing them to, like for example, there are two sentences, I love dog and I love cats. So once we will take this I love dogs, and we will using these transformers models, we will generate these embeddings, and then we will generate the embeddings for this next sentence, which was I love cats. So basically, when we find the distance between them, and what does distance meaning? Well, the lesser the distance, and then it means ki these two vectors, but inside the vectors we are storing the embeddings. They represent similar context, similarity, basically. Is it correct? No, we are not sure about that. But we know ki if we are comparing to, for example, these vectors, we can be pretty sure that if the distance is certain number, like for example, the lesser the distance between those two vectors, it means those vectors represent similar meaning or similar context or similarity, basically. That is what, and this is where it gets interesting. That for example, when I said, you should, not me, that is why we don't do this text-based searching, because in the text-based searching we do exact, uh, like format matching. But once we come to this number representation, and we use this machine learning models and all of these things, and they are pretty, proven. They have proven themselves that they are very very good at their job. So what we do is we take those capabilities, and basically we generate these different like for example, uh, like embeddings for them, and let's just assume that there are 10 different like embeddings for different sentences or paragraph, whatever that you gave to the models to generate. Just give me a minute. Okay, so I was saying ki, I was talking about embeddings. So the basic idea is convert text based to the embeddings. And what does embedding represent? It's the numbers for this. Uh, like for example, for this particular text, it's a number representation of that, and inside the vector, meaning array of multi dimensions, which represents like different things for the each layer. Like for example, I don't know if it's right or not, but I think 703 5 dimensions left, right, or 1500 dimensions like that. So basically, you can assume ki how many dimensions are we talking in the array. So they are pretty good at it. And once those numbers are generated, they are not. If you look at those numbers, like for example, if you print those numbers and if you show it to someone else, those numbers doesn't represent anything, and that doesn't make any sense also. But to the computer algorithms, and as we all know how computers are very, you know, good at their job, uh, working on these numbers, right? So we have generated these embeddings, and we can be pretty sure that those models that are used to generate these numbers are trained on billions of data, so they know what they're doing. And although it's not accurate, but we come now the game comes between the distance between these two or multiple, like, you know, vectors ki the distance or the should be very minimum. And what does distance meaning here? The like context. So for example, the lesser the distance between these two are similar context based vector. So whatever this vector was generated, whatever the text that gets used by to generate this vector, or whatever the text that you use to generate this vector, they must be very close to each other. So when we talk about I love dog, I love cats, so dog is closer to cats into this. They don't know exact what dog mean or cat means, but if we talk about in mathematics terms, so let's just say a vector was generated for the I love dogs, for example, sentence, and I love cat, and one embedding was generated for this I love cats phrase. So now we have two vectors. Now once we will do this distance, like we will calculate the distance between them, the distance will be very less. And what it says is that ki they must be together. They must be very close to each other in the context wise. Ki, okay, they must represent something very close to each other. But are they equal to each other? No, they are not, but they represent something close to that. That is the whole idea of this. And this is the like biggest thing in the generative AI that we can understand that. Now, once we know that, so as I said, you need to understand the context. Sorry, like, you know, behind the scenes, but you will not do anything. You will not write ML model for that, artificial intelligence for that. There are already models for that to generate this embedding. You just need to understand. Okay, what am I doing and why am I doing it? Okay. Now, once we are clear to that, so now instead of storing those exact documents into the database, what we will do is we will store the embeddings and their vectors in the vector format. All right. So once the query will come, we will convert into the vector or embeddings, and then we will do the searching based on this vector that we generated instead of the text that actually user typed. So it's not text-based searching, rather it's about vector-based searching. You are searching the embeddings now, and there are different algorithms for that. Cosine similarity is there, equivalent distance, I think, yes, that is also there. So you can like this is just like a finding distance between two vectors, and this is mathematical, but you can go deeper if you want. But that's the whole idea behind the scene. And now how does it help us? Well, now instead of just finding the exact like, you know, text that user searched, as I gave this example key, let's just say user says key, I want to change my password, how do I do that? Just give me a minute, guys. Okay, so I was saying ki now that the problem that we were facing in the text-based searching, ki let's just say some user search ki I want to change my password, then we would take that query, we will search into our database, and we will do this text-based searching ki you find these relevant information for this sentence, like containing password, change password, something like that. Now this is not effective. The problem and the example that I gave you was ki I want to change my credentials, and once we talk about I want to change my credentials and we will do the search, we will not find anything, or we might find anything, but you get the idea ki we don't know what user will type. But once we talk about this vector embedding and all of these things, now the situation has changed completely. Now it's not about exact searching, rather we stored those embeddings to the database, right? And we can understand how those vectors and embeddings were generated by using these models. So they are not exact representation of the text, but rather similar representation of the text. Okay, now what we do, user search something, we get the information and we convert that uh, query into this vector or embedding. And now what we do, we search now using those same models. Okay, now sorry, now go and search this embedding into the database. Now what will happen is that instead of finding the exact vector, what we do is we will find the similar vector of that, and that is more likely to find the information rather than text based searching. Now I don't know if you noticed one problem or not, but there's one big problem. Can you let me just give you some time to think about it? If you're watching this video later or in the live, I don't know. And till now, what do you think is the biggest problem that you're facing into this embedding and vectors, and how? Like, did you just see what I just said? Ki yaar, we will store this embeddings and vector into the database, and then we will do this searching instead of text-based searching. I think you should take a moment and think about it. What is the biggest problem you think that we are facing till this explanation? Let me just write it here also. Key or I don't know what do I try. What is the control? What is? Hey, I think that I got one comment. Gentex69 commented, I don't know anything about embeddings or vectors. Well, don't worry, my friend. I will explain you. I'm just if you want me to, I just already explained that. You're a little bit late, but if you want, I can go one more time if you're interested. But just give me a second. And this is my first time doing it, so I hope you can hear me clearly. Can you please, Gendex69, can you please write in the comment that you are able to hear me clearly, and anything else that you want to say? Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Awesome, that's great. So what, like, are you working or student or what? Like, can you give me a little bit context? Or, but I was just talking about in general Gen AI and AI stuff, and how do we utilize these things to build these chat applications that these days are, I think, very popular. So how do we build them? What goes behind the scenes? So I was explaining that, but yeah, so I just ended explanation of this embeddings and vector, just ended it, and I was just moving to the next part of that. But it's okay, you can just rewind it later if you want. And so you type the question till that. Let me just drink some water or tea. I a little bit take, but my job is not in the body. Oh, then I don't know what to tell you, man. There's a little bit math behind it, but thanks for stopping by. Yeah, that's awesome. I like to keep up to date. That's how it should be. By the way, you never know in which field you want to go, and so that's great. Okay, so I was just saying about this key. We will store the embeddings and vectors into the database, and the problem that I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but we don't want to store entire documents into this. like vectors. Like we don't want to create the embeddings of entire documents. Otherwise, there would be no point in like storing this like vectors into the database. See, the problem is you will store entire documents, and once the query, the user will query something. Like for example, hey, I want to change my password. Then we will create the embeddings of it, and then we will do the search into the database. Now it will fetch the entire document itself. So what's the point? Like you are literally attaching entire document to the chat GPT, then they will utilize the so many tokens, and the cost would be through the roof. So what are you even trying to solve? So instead of that, what you can do is there's something called chunking strategy. Meaning, instead of just like storing entire document, what you do is you divide the document, uh, and the strategy depends on your goal. So it could be like 300 words. So you take the document, you keep taking the 300 words from the document, 300 words, you convert it into the embeddings using those models that I told you about, this AI and ML models. You convert the embeddings, and in the database you don't just store the like this embeddings. What you do is you store this embedding and that text that this embedding was created from. So for example, three things. First, uh, you can assume the object, where first thing is embeddings, then you store that embedding that you created from using this text, and then the text itself, because we need to understand, we don't want numbers, we don't want to send those numbers to the chat gpt. What we want to do is we want those text. Okay, this is the relevant information regarding this embedding. So you store that, and then third thing is you could store some kind of metadata about their document, like for example which document this represent or something like that if you want. And that's the entire object that we store. Now you do, instead of storing one document, you stored chunks of their documents and created their embeddings. So now what happens when user search ki, hey, I want to change my password or I want to change my credential, we take that query, we convert the embeddings of that, or we make the embeddings of that, and then we do this search into the database. Okay, hey, find me the relevant information from this database of this embeddings. Now it won't find an entire document because we have broken down it into 300 words, and we have, and the we have records which represents 300 words of embedding. So what will happen now? Mostly it will find 4 or 5 of these embeddings. We have them. We extract the text of these embeddings, not like convert it, but as I said, we will store three things: and the embedding itself, right, and then the text itself that embedding was created from, and then some metadata related. So we need the text. So we get the text, we have the query. What will now the phase comes, which is to generate a nice prompt. So what we will do, we write, okay, hey, this is, hey GPT, only give the answers from this context itself. So in the context, we will attach those relevant text that we got from the database. We will attach that, and in the bottom we will say input or query. We will attach that query that user typed. Oh, I want to change my password. I want to change this credential or whatever. Now we will send this entire prompt to the LLMs, and they will do the rest of this. Now here what we didn't do the text based searching. So now what we can say is that information that we retrieved from that database is relevant, and no matter what user types, now they can type I want to change my password or I want to change my credentials, it will still find the relevant information from those documents that we stored using the chunking strategy. So 300 word, 300 word, 300 word, or whatever that strategy that we decided, it will store that. We will find that information, we will generate a nice prompt, we will send it to the LLMs, and then LLMs will do their job. It could be anything, right? They will do, they are very good smart about it. And as you guys already know about these things, right? LLMs are very very smart in doing these things, text based searching or image or whatever. So for example, we provided enough information to that LLM, and they will give the answer from that context that we attached. And if even if they don't find the answer, it's okay, no problem, because as we already mentioned into this prompt, that if you don't find any answer into this context that I attached, don't return anything. We don't want that, right? So now we have the answer that LLM gave it response back to us. Now we will give to the front end. That's it. That's our job. Now, sorry about it. I hope you are able to understand this. That this is the entire flow. Now, where does your job lies? Your job lies as engineering. What you would do mostly. See, you're not going to do this embedding yourself.
you are going to just utilize these models that already doing these jobs. They are pretty good at it. Second thing, you're not doing LLM's job. They you already get this API, and so you don't worry about how do they work. They are very efficient and they are proved themselves. All right. What your job is, how do you chunk, that's number one thing. Like you have the documents, you read the documents, like not entirely, but you kind of get this idea, okay, this is the kind of document that we have and the data basically. So you go through your data, decide the strategy. There's no fixed thing. You need to search 3,000 words, sorry, 300 words, 400 words. It could be anything. It's up to you. How do you decide? That's the number one thing. Second is, let's just say user types, what is 2 plus 2? Well, the answer is 4. You don't want to just waste your resources on that. So, for example, generating embedding is fine. It's like on your server, so it's not a problem. You generate the embeddings of that, but you don't want to send this query to the LLM. Like, what is 2 plus 2? It's 4. We know it, but we don't want to utilize the LLMs for that. We need to be smart enough in our end, okay, that how, like what kind of API we are calling. So we don't want to call these kind of for these kind of tasks. We don't want to call the API. So you need to write the logic here. Ki you should stop, or if even if you can answer some questions on your own, then definitely you should do it, because at the end of the day, we will buy, or as a company that you are building this product for, they will buy some kind of subscription, and they will have a token limitation. For example, 1 million token per I don't know, user, or per month. So you don't want to just utilize all the resources that you have. You need to minimize that. That is your job. So how, when do we call the API? That is your goal. You need to decide it. Let's just say you didn't find anything. For example, you just type some random thing, like let's just say, hey, who is Shahrukh Khan? Tell me about Shahrukh Khan. You don't really care about Shahrukh Khan in your documents. So we will get the query, we will generate the embeddings, then we will do the search in our database using that embedding, but we won't find anything, right? Then in this case, we don't want to give to the chat GPT, hey, who is Shahrukh Khan? Give this information using this context, because we did not find any context in our documents about Shahrukh Khan. So we are just using chat GPT for, didn't find anything for that. And that will utilize some kind of token. So we don't want to do that. So figuring out that, okay, for what kind of goals we can call the APIs that is meaningful for us, and that will utilize the less tokens. That is, as an engineer, our goal. Second, putting the rate limiters. You don't want keep user just keep typing code. I mean, like every minute he is like randomly typing anything. Instead of that, what we want is, okay, user type something and they get their query, and then after some time, then you just show, okay, hey, too many, you are asking too many questions, don't please wait for some time or something like that. You can just show that. Basically, we don't want the resource utilization too much. That is our goal as an engineer. We can do that. Yeah, there's really no point in converting the embedding a high dimensional vector in that situation. Hmm. Yeah, that's actually what I was saying. Ki you don't want to waste basically all the resources that you have. I mean, definitely, it's our job to figuring out ki what kind of queries we are calling and these APIs and these models. So as an engineer, this is our job. But once the call is made, like we just send this onto this, uh, we generated something, this prompt, and then we called this API. There's nothing in our control anymore. The call will happened, and all the whatever the token utilization will happen. So before that, we need to put these guards. So figuring out smartly ki, okay, you can write some things over your application also. This is on a user's part. You can teach your user also ki, okay, this is how you should ask the questions. Basically, you can give some simple questions. I don't know if you noticed or not, but when you go to the chat GPT, as soon as you start typing, there are some suggestions for you, like 5-10 suggestions for you. So you can do something like that in your application also, where you have these documents. So you know that what kind of question people usually ask. So you can just suggest those 5 to 10 questions predefined, so that it's in your control. You are taking the control, and that way, these are small things, and that doesn't make sense too much. But in the long run, these kind of saves your company a ton of money. And as an engineering point of view also, there's something also, like for example, hallucination. Let's just say your data is not that much. So what might happen is, let's just say you search about Shahrukh Khan, and you found something in your data like similarity. As I said, embeddings are not actual representation of that text. Like for example, once the embedding is created, there's no process that can convert to that text. Okay, if I randomly give you these files of some embedding, there is no method in this world that can convert, that can tell that okay, this embedding was converted by this exact text. It's not a hash function. Do you know what hash function is? Well, the hash function is we use some mathematical formulas and some things to do that, manipulate that, and we create some hash value which we can't understand, but it's some kind of number, string, or some special character and whatever that. But we utilize some mathematics formulas for that, so we can convert back. So from this text, so I can convert that, and no matter how many times I pass this string into this function that responsible for hash will create all the same time. So that is not what we are doing. Embedding is like a uh, some kind of similarity rather than exact value. So when we have the embeddings, but you can understand that. Sorry about that. So you should know this thing. Okay. So it might find some information into the database on the similarity basis. So, but as a job, as a engineer, your job is to make sure ki whatever the user is asking, that is meaningful. We want only want to utilize also resources only if it's meaningful. We don't want to just waste our resources. And in upcoming days also, and this is going to be very important. We are not going to build something on our own. We are always will be dependent on third party APIs or third party these things where resources are limited. As engineer, we need to figuring out the different approaches so that we can keep the cost minimum to the business so that business can survive. All right. And what else is there? Yeah, I think these are the main point that I wanted to talk about. And yesterday also I uploaded this video about this generative AI. So but I still wanted to talk about, and I wanted to see how does this YouTube live thing works. So it is fun, to be honest. And my only question is that I hope this YouTube live gets saved and it's uploaded as a video for the like later. If this is the case, this is how exactly I will make videos, because I hate making videos and editing them and everything. It's just too much task for me. So what I will do is. Okay, I will for the 5 days of the week I will study about some topics, and on the weekends I will come live and I will share what I learned, and maybe we can learn together or something like that. That's my main goal is going to be, because I really like this live thing. I talked about generative AI for like it's 54 minutes, so it's a very big deal, and this will keep me accountable, learn in depth so that I can explain much more better. And yeah, this is really really fun. I'm loving it. And shout out to this Gendex 69. uh, they asked some questions, but I think they are not informed related to tech, so they just like left. But I wish you good luck, Dost, if you're watching this video. But anyway, that's the whole idea of this generative AI, LLMs, and embeddings, vectors. But I I hope now that is clear that reg is not just one thing. It's more like entire process of this chunking, creating embeddings, storing into the vector database, and then searching. Everything comes into this reg. This process is called reg. All right. So there's not one thing. This is reg. This entire chunking strategy that you are choosing, and then embeddings. How are you creating embeddings? Which models are you using for the embeddings? And then this generating this prompt. How are you generating the prompt? How are you making sure that sending this API, this context to the API? This entire process is comes under the reg. All right. So there's not one thing that is reg. It's entire process. So I hope that is cleared to you guys, and you got to learn something new. But that's just, I guess, it for today. It was fun doing it, and for the next week, I am thinking I will pick the SQL, because this is like really really most asked questions and most valuable skills to have about SQL. Now I know if you are software engineer, you must have heard about SQL. There is like how to do the basic CRUD operations in the query, but trust me, the way I learned, it helped me to learn deep key, so that you don't have to memorize these SQL queries. You can just understand it ki how does this behave. So SQL is very like like fun language, structured query language. Basically you're just telling, hey, select these things from this data table from and do this and run these conditions, then group by having all of these things. So it's rather fun, and once you understand how does this work behind the scene, it gets more clear and you enjoy. Now in writing day-to-day code, these videos will not help you at all. But once you understand these things, so next time you write the code, now you know how your code is behaving. So from that point of view, I think it's good thing that you should invest this thing. And I really love this live thing today. And I think I've explained too much things, and definitely it helps me to learn more in depth. And that's the entire goal of this channel also. Yeah, I just want to make sure that I also grow, and if I can help somebody in the journey, maybe sharing some tips, then definitely I would love to do that. But yeah, that's it in this video. And thank you so much for watching this video. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, that's it for today. It was very well spent. I really, really like this thing. And my Sunday spent well. Let's just end it after 1 hour. So it's 58 minutes. And let's see what happens after some time. I don't know how you guys are seeing me clearly. Trust me, I will just end this episode and then. Okay, let me just. Can I type something? Next session. In the next session. eh, What you can edit? It's just click here. In the next session, we will learn about SQL. In the next session, we will learn about SQL. In the next session, we will learn about SQL. Yes. So that's it in this video, guys. This was really, really fun. And I will do it every weekend. I'm thinking Saturday or Sunday. Oh, we have this one visitor. Hello, Dhavani Saxena 5933. Yes. Hello, ma'am. How are you? Well, if you have some questions, you can ask me, or you are very late, by the way. Yeah, definitely. No, don't worry. You can ask them. I'm here. But ask me about this, generative AI, Rag, and vector embedding, something like that, because today's session is about that. It's okay. You can take your time. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. You are already 1 hour late. I've already explained entire things. But go ahead. And one more thing, Dhawani, ma'am, can you tell me, are you able to see me clearly, or my voice is clear, or things like that, so that its frame is right or not? Because this is my first time doing this thing, so it would be helpful for me. Yeah, so I'm currently doing MCA, but I don't know, bro. What do you mean you're doing MCA and you don't know? You're doing MCA, so you have done BCA, right? I'm assuming you have done BCA, right? And listen, okay. At first, I thought you're telling me listen perfectly. Okay. Yes, BCF. Then I don't know what to do. What do you mean you don't know what to do? I like what's your plan? Are you looking for job? Or like what are you doing? By the way, I have done also BCA. So yes, looking for job. Yes, then I think you should make accounts on LinkedIn and then start applying for the jobs. The market is tough, but decide which technology. Do you like technology? I'm assuming you are doing MCA, so you must have some kind of uh, like interest in technologies. So like find some technology that you really like and go deeper into these technologies and make your resume right. And of course it's tough, definitely I will give that because this market is tough. But now that we have these LLMs, the this is how I also learned. By the way, I started job but was kind of forced to resign. Resume is okay, all right. I started job but was kind of forced to resign. Hmm. See, I'm going to give you this advice is like it doesn't matter, to be honest, that whether you are take or not take. Uh, it doesn't matter as long as you have experience of something. Like can't understand coding, devastated attempts, DSN. Bro, don't wait. You know what? I understand. I get it. I get it. Relax. Don't learn DSN, OOPS and all. Trust me. What you should first do is like, do you want to go into this software engineering is vast. Like there's the web development, app development, desktop app development. There are so many things. I understand that you said DSN, so I'm thinking ki, you are this more thing ki you need to learn DSN. Trust me, you don't need to learn DSN. All sure, you should have some experience of programming language, definitely, and this is how you should start. But I'm assuming if you have done BCA, then you must have already have little bit experience of all these programming languages, like I think Python, JavaScript, some kind of, and they are not really hard to learn. By the way, you need to work at least 3 to 6 months on yourself first. That has less coding. Hmm. Then what you can do is, I don't know. I can understand the basic logics. Okay. See, whatever you are trying to do, I will tell you one thing. Ki, now is the best time to learn this thing because if you even if you decide to go into this technical field also, na, it's not a problem. Because we have the LLMs. Trust me, you need to learn how to utilize these LLM to learn fast. See, I think 3 4 years back, learning a programming language was like 3 months job, 2 months job. Now it's not like that. Yeah, but still, even if you go, I was thinking about AWS or GenAI. Even if you want to go there, you need to understand the basics. And if you're talking about AWS cloud and all of these things, maybe you have no idea, but you need to have good understanding of networking because cloud and all of these things, DevOps things are more like you understand about like how system works on like for example you know how to coding basic stuffs and then they works fine, but when we talk about million user, thousands of users per request coming from this region, like there's some users are connecting from the other part of this world, you need to understand the networking concept very deeply. That's where, so I think the hard work is also there. So if you are just thinking about easy path, there is no easy path. You need to work hard. I don't know have any mind map or road structure roadmap for the same. I was thinking. Yeah, I understand you're confused, but again, as I'm saying, pick one thing and use these LLMs to learn this chat GPT. You need to understand prompt engineering really better because if you ask me the chat GPT, like, "Oh, yeah, I'm learning about AWS, teach me." It's not going to teach you in the right way. Instead of that, doing that, you should have write a nice prompt. Ki, hey, this is me. I have this experience, and be honest about it. Ki, I don't have this much knowledge about this thing. I want to go this AWS or GenAI. So where should I learn? How should I learn? Everything. Give a detailed plan because before that you type something, you do some kind of exercise of this coding ho gaya, or AWS or anything. This used to take some time, but now you can just ask ChatGPT and you will get the instant answer. So learning, I think in 1 week you can learn so many new things, but in 1 week you have to work hard. I know prompt coding daily, but even it can't make me understand. Like, can you give me an example, like what kind of prompt you have done, and what is the one problem that you are facing? Because to me, it looks like you are just going one thing to another thing very fast. And of course, it can't make me understand anything. It- it's not LLM's job to make you understand. It's you will understand these things. But you need to start from the basics. Okay, this is how I'm trying to learn, and this much time I can give. But if you just jump one thing to another, then everything looks cool on the other side, to be honest. So you need to fix one thing, whatever that you want to do, generative AI or AWS or anything. See, confusion is not a problem. See, everybody is confused. Even I have 3 years of experience, and I'm, like working from like 2017. I've worked on my own. I've done some freelancing. Currently, I'm working as a software developer with 3 years of experience. I'm also confused. Ki where should I go? But I don't jump from one thing to another. I just stick to one thing and learn very good at it. I don't know what I really want to do. Now, that's the one thing that you need to ask yourself. Even I can't help you in this thing. But what I can say is this: कि if you said I don't have any issue in studying and working hard, then that's it. You just gave yourself this answer. That's it. That's the number one thing. If you are ready to work hard and studying, then what is stopping you? You're doing you're thinking about doing MCA, or you are doing MCA. Sorry, let me just read it. Yes, so I'm currently doing MCA. So what everyone gives different. Ah, everyone gives different opinions and things to study. Of course, I don't know anything about you. So of course, if you ask me something about it, then I will give different opinion. So that's a good chance for you. You last semester MCA, then you know what? Instead of doing so many things, you know the some subjects, right? In the BCA, you must have studied some programming languages, and in the MCA, I have not done MCA, but I'm thinking some subjects are there. So pick one subject that you genuinely want to go into, and sorry, and stick to it if you genuinely like. Because and let me be very honest with you. See, in the engineering teams, especially in software field, they were really people hired so many people. How and where to study from? I told you na, we don't have to go anywhere. Just use GPT. ChatGPT is awesome resources for learning. That's it. Fix one thing, make a right plan. And I'm starting to doubt that you do know how to write good prompt, because this is like, if you would have not asked me this question, if you knew how to write a good prompt, like give proper, like 1 page of prompt to the chat GPT, not just 2 3 lines. Explain your situation and be honest about it, that what are the things that you are able to understand, what is the problem that you are facing. And the other thing is, as you said, you want to work hard. So if that's the case, then you shouldn't be afraid of anything. Pick one topic, go deep into that, and now it becomes very easy to learn about anything. Because before that you had just some tutorials. If you are stuck, then you are just stuck on your own. But now, if you are stuck, then you can ask the questions like, why am I facing this issue, what about this, and what about that. There are so many questions that you can ask to the chat GPT. Understand the thinking, but it can't make me. I am become dumb when I become dumb. Whoa, you're not dumb. बाकी सब कुछ भी करा लो, but dumb based study. Do I know you? Dhawan? I feel like you are just trolling me. बाकी सब. No, I don't know. Because he literally said कि uh, I don't have any issue in studying. I'm working hard. And now your sentence. Huh? Yeah, because that, why would I say? Because you literally typed here कि I don't have any issue in studying, and now you're saying बाकी सब कुछ करा लो, but dumb based in study. You're not. Your thoughts are not together, ma'am. Get it together. You can do anything. I believe in you. But that's the advice that I can give you. And that's it. What do you want me to say now? But don't feel bad. uh, Everybody starts somewhere. Everybody is confused sometimes. Arey, the point is hard work करने में I don't have any issue. No, 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 no. That is literally you're now just making excuses, ma'am. You want to do hard work, but you don't want to do study. What kind of hard work is this? But for that, you understand one thing, but forget it the next one. That like tell me something new. I mean, bro, everybody forgets things in the next moment. The point is to understand the concept of something. Do you understand? Like for example, you said कि you don't want to understand the OOPS concept and all these things. Concrete plan चाहिए कि ऐसे लोग No, 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 no. There is no concrete plan. And if in today's age somebody is telling you concrete plan, trust me, by the time you will finish that plan, some other technology will come. So even if I give you the 6 months of roadmap or plan, ki, you know what, Dhavani, just stick to this plan, follow this plan, and don't think anything. Just go to the jungle or do this thing. by the time you will, by the time you will come to the city and you start applying for the job, that the thing that you learned are done. You're like, bro, go to your teacher who have suggested you that plan. There's nothing. So in today's days, you need to be active very fast. So that's why fix like two, three things. Definitely. Every day new things are coming. So that's what I'm saying. Instead of that, give 1 2 months yourself of and you've done BCA and MCA, so just learn technology wise. Don't go into deeper into this sense, but understand how do these different things connect. So for example, you said AWS cloud. So you need to understand what is the problem that AWS cloud is solving. This is your first and there is something called first principle thinking. I think you should read about it. That might help you a little bit. Um, Basically in that what happens is people start thinking about from this, instead of just going to the solution, they start about problem. Okay, what is the problem that this particular technology is solving? So you said AWS cloud. So you need to understand what exactly the problem people are facing in software industry that this technology is solving. Once you understand that problem, you will feel motivated. Okay, oh, you know what, that's like a nice technology, I want to learn about it. And then go deeper how is it that this AWS cloud and all of these things are solving this problem. From this mindset if you go, then you will pick one problem and ask questions, any dumb questions to GPTs. What about this, what about that, why not this and why not that, and go deeper and keep doing it for 1 to 2 months. And I think once you have this understanding of this concrete concept, then it becomes easier for you to switch different things. For example, I am software engineer, but I don't mind I don't know about DevOps, I have not done this, but I understand why this particular field exists. And I love coding, so that's why I'm in a software engineer industry. But I know I don't myself, I don't what do you say that word, I don't restrict myself to this particular thing. Instead, go beyond this, explore. But again, I genuinely love software engineering. I always, but now that these GPTs and all of these Gemini and all of these, I just use them like very, very much in my day-to-day life also. Keep what about this? I always wanted to ask some questions. Um, Now I have the tools, so you can ask them. But please figure it yourself कि यार तुम्हें क्या करना है. Otherwise if you just keep asking these questions to random people, then you will get the random answers. You might feel good for some time कि okay, now it makes sense, but it won't make sense, and it is hard. Any goal that you are going to start in the beginning, it will feel like you are behind, everybody is ahead of you. But this is not the case. Stick to it, give it some time, give it some clarity. And once you know कि okay, I want to go into this particular industry, that's it. you s- and there's also one tip that I can give you, which is, I don't know if you are currently here or not, but which is, you need to learn how to ignore irrelevant information. Yes, this is a real skill in today's age. There are so many information, so you need to understand what kind of information you want and what kind of information you don't want. Once you figure these two things, so there are two tips that I can give you. With number one, first principle thinking. Always think from the like basics of it. Why does this even exist? And then second is, once you decided that, second thing is what to ignore. This is a skill, because everything is either changing the world, ending the world, or everything is like so much thing going on. So once you learn, okay, I want to go into this, so this is the information that is relevant to me. And next time something comes up, you just like, you know what, no, thank you so much, I don't want to hear about it. This is the filter. It doesn't mean that you are just ignoring some facts also, but you need to figure out the balance, what I mean by that. And yes, go work hard. And I will keep doing this live, so maybe I will see you next week. And do let me know in 5 to 6 7 days what you figured out. Or if you are on LinkedIn, I have LinkedIn page also, you can follow me there. And I think now it's been 1 hour 16 minutes I have been live. You're welcome, and thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, bye. Happy weekend. Not weekend, it's already 7 p.m. In the evening. So, but I have best of luck, ma'am, and I will see you in the next week, maybe on Sunday by the same 5 p.m. I will put on the LinkedIn, by the way. But this was my first time, so I didn't know like anything about it. But thank you. Have a nice week ahead of you guys, and best of luck. How do you end it? Live end stream. Yes. Thank you so much.